Thank you, Tom. Next, we'd like to acknowledge some of our guests. So if we could have the ambassadors stand, Trina will come around with the microphone for us to hear about your guests at the table.
Now I have to hold it. I need your microphone. So I know it's here, but it's going to list out the week.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tom Locke. I'm with the Candlewood Suites here in Independence. And I'd like to introduce a special guest. George, please stand. This is George Smith. He is the general manager of the Candlewood Suites Independence.
Hi, everybody. Gina with Hometown News. I have a couple guests today. James, if you can stand up, please. James is from Stony Creek. This is his first luncheon here, so if you guys have any events or anything you need to do, you call James and his little partner right here. You guys have a good crowd here. Then I have a young lady. If she please stand. Erin. She is from the Winchester. Trina. See, I got notes. But I want to welcome her. She's new to Independence too, so she needs new friends. There she is. She's a very wonderful lady. I'm very thankful for her. She's living there. I think James is trying to move here too because he was talking about other states. So welcome these two. Thanks, everybody.
I think we have one more here, Trina.
My name is Laura. I'm with the Mavericks in Austin. And this is Erica. She is a real estate agent with Peterson Home Team. So if you have a real estate girl, and she's here. And she's in here in your chamber, yes.
Oh, good. That's good.
Hi there, I brought my team. So Sharon Wingate is our special events assistant. Well, Anita's kind of really not on our team in development, but she sure helps us a bunch, and today's her birthday. And so Anita is our HR person at CSL, and then Bree Bolger is our development assistant.
All right. Well, it's so good to see all of you and see some newer faces in the room. And thank you, and hope we see you again in the future. Now on to our program. We're very excited to provide an update on our local hockey team, the Kansas City Mavericks. Their season kicks off in just a couple of weeks, and actually it is their 12th season, I just learned today. Boy, time flies. They're kicking off their season on December 11th, so we're very lucky to have a sneak peek before they're in full swing. Their CEO, Brent Thiessen, he was originally planning to make some remarks today, and he's not able to join us. So we will be hearing from the new coach, Coach Ohad over there. And first I'd like to introduce Anna Podleski in Brent's place. So please come on up, Anna.
Thank you, everyone. Like she said, my name is Anna Podleski, and I'm the Manager of Communications for the Kansas City Mavericks. And I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about how we have adjusted to the COVID-19 pandemic. But before I get started, I want to see a show of hands with everyone in the room with who has been to a Mavericks game before. Okay, so we have a good number. For those of you that have not gone, we hope to see you out this season. So to say 2020 has been an unprecedented year would be a vast understatement. And honestly, we have all probably heard the word unprecedented enough times to last us a lifetime over the last 8 months. Regardless of what words we use to describe 2020 and what's to come, we have seen curveball after curveball, and it is important to move forward with health and safety at the top of mind. Now, I never thought I would witness the sports industry come to a screeching halt, let alone the whole world. In mid-March, the ECHL announced that the 2019-2020 season would be canceled. How we adjust to COVID is different for every industry, every business, and every person. In early October, the ECHL announced that the 2020-21 season will commence on December 11, 2020, under a split season format. Now, in a typical season, Cable Dahmer Arena would be buzzing with nearly 6,000 fans by mid-October, but by no means is this a typical season. Under the split season guidelines, 13 teams, including the Kansas City Mavericks, will begin a 72-game season on December 11th. The remaining ECHL teams will begin their season on January 15th, 2021. ECHL regular 2020-21 season will end on June 6th, 2021. The schedule for games through January 15th, 2021 through the June 6th, 2021 will be announced in the near future. Typically, the regular ECHL season would begin in October and conclude in April. It is unusual for the full season schedule to not be announced prior to the start of the season. But this is not a typical season, and just like the world around us, changes continue to occur. As we navigate through this unusual season, the health and safety of our fans, players, community, and staff is our utmost priority. When it comes to our fans, we want to make sure they feel comfortable attending games. I want to talk about the things we have done as a franchise to adjust to COVID for this season, including reduced capacity, social distant parking, required masks throughout the arena, which you will hear me talk about various people having required masks several times, digital ticketing, and increased hand sanitizer stations. So the parking lot is the first area of contact for fans. Every other parking space will be coned off to allow for socially distant parking. Parking attendants will be wearing gloves and masks or shields. To allow for social distancing throughout the entire arena, Cable Dahmer will be at reduced capacity. Our ticket department has been working incredibly hard to make sure fans can be seated a safe distance apart. This season, tickets will be completely digital to not only minimize contact when entering the arena, but to also allow for contact tracing. The ushers and ticket takers will be wearing masks and gloves, which will be required for each individual, whether staff or fan, throughout the entire arena. In the ticketing and box office, every office window will be closed to allow for spacing, and ticket sellers will wear gloves in addition to masks. And if a fan purchases a ticket at the box office, it would be sent to their phone, whereas in past seasons, they could just be printed off and take it from there. Concession stands will be open for fans, but condiment stands will be eliminated. The lines will be designated for social distancing, and high top tables have been moved to the edge of the concourse to allow fans to sit and eat. Additionally, COVID signage will be posted throughout the arena. Freestanding hand sanitization units have been increased, and the floors will be marked with social distance reminders. For the fans that do not feel comfortable watching the games in person, the Mavericks have invested in Flow Sports this season. Flow Sports is an inexpensive video streaming service with a model similar to Netflix. Fans get access to all the sports that Flow Sports covers for an inexpensive monthly price. Now, one of the biggest reasons we moved to this platform is because now, more than ever, it is important for our fans to be able to watch the games at home. Every Mavericks home and away game will be streamed on Flow Sports to allow our fans to watch games and exclusive content from the comfort of their own homes. Another reason we moved to Flow Sports is because they provide a live feed for our broadcaster to call the game from home without needing to travel to away games, which in turn protects him, our coaching staff, and our players. To protect our fans and staff, we have made several adjustments that will occur behind the scenes. Upon arrival to this arena, all staff working on game days, including vendors and staff employed by the arena, will be receiving their temperature checks. Temperature checks are strictly pass-fail, and any employees with a fever will be sent home immediately. After each game, high contact areas will be cleaned and sanitized, including but not limited to the locker room, box office windows, and the Chuck-a-Pucks used for Chuck-a-Puck. Our Chuck-a-Puck program allows nonprofit organizations in the community to serve as beneficiaries and raise awareness for their missions, promote their upcoming events, and generate funds for their causes. At every home game, these pucks are sold on behalf of the community organization of the night, and fans purchase these pucks to throw on the ice during intermission, to try and win a cash prize or other various prizes from our corporate sponsors. With these pucks being a high-touch item, they will be thoroughly sanitized after every game so that we may continue to support local nonprofits through this program while protecting our fans and staff. Although this season will look much different than the past seasons, we want our fans to feel comfortable and safe enjoying a Mavericks game while participating in the traditions they have come to know and love over the past 11 seasons. With the Mavericks entering our 12th season, we will become the longest tenured professional hockey team in the history of Kansas City, which was previously held by the Kansas City Blades, who played 11 seasons. Thank you. To protect the players, several adjustments have been made to their initial arrival process, and a bubble-like atmosphere has also been established. In the coming weeks, players must be tested and receive a COVID negative result prior to their arrival in Kansas City. Once each player arrives in Kansas City, they will begin an initial 3-day quarantine and then will be tested again and must receive a COVID negative result prior to beginning training camp. Additionally, throughout the season, players will be tested twice a week. Throughout the season, if a player were to experience COVID symptoms, they must immediately self-isolate, contact our team doctor or head athletic trainer, and then get a COVID test. Players will not be able to return to the team activities until they receive a COVID negative result. Additionally, each player will download the Edge 10 app and they will complete 3 steps every day throughout the entirety of the season. These 3 steps include daily temperature checks, completing the Edge 10 app questionnaire, and presenting the green pass from the app upon arriving at the arena. For an added level of protection, the players and certain authorized personnel are subject to a bubble-like atmosphere. This atmosphere mandates restaurants the player and the authorized personnel are allowed to dine in at while at home and on the road, and outlines other policies they must observe in order to protect themselves and those around them. Players and their families are encouraged to conduct safe activities in everyday life, going to the grocery store or barbershops, but environments where social distancing cannot be maintained are strictly prohibited. This season, all media interviews and appearances will be conducted through virtual means. Additionally, fans, friends, and other attendees, unfortunately, will not be permitted access to the players this season. In past seasons, fans would have access to players through the Fifth Line Club, but because of COVID, we are unfortunately unable to do that this season. But we are placing it with the VIP Club, which is a new program this year, which allows a small number, 60 to be exact, of fans to have exclusive perks like premier parking, an official credential, a one-of-a-kind polo, and much more. These changes do not begin to scratch the surface of the total amount of changes we have made and will continue to make. Honestly, if I talked about every adjustment we have made this season, we would probably still be here this time tomorrow. The safety and health of our fans, staff, players, and community is of the utmost importance, and we are committed to making these adjustments as the season progresses. We have missed welcoming fans into the arena and hearing them cheer on their favorite team both Friday and Saturday nights. Although our 12th season will look much different than the past 11 seasons, we are excited to welcome fans into Cable Dahmer Arena on December 18th for our home opener. Now, I'm really excited to introduce our new head coach and director of hockey ops, but before I do that, I wanted to open the floor up to a Q&A for anyone that has questions about any more adjustments we've made or anything I've just talked about. Does anyone have any questions for me?
What's the amount of fans you're allowed into the arena?
So we will be at a reduced capacity, and I do not have an exact number for you, but it will be less than 50%. There was one over here.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Reduced capacity, okay. Any other questions?
If you have a group, can you have a group with up to 10?
I believe if you contact our ticket department, arrangements can be made, but I would have to get back to you so we can talk after this today. Anyone else? Okay, so a little bit about Tad O'Had. Tad was named head coach and director of hockey operations for Kansas City on April 15th, 2020. The Washington native has spent the past 7 seasons as the associate head coach with the Florida Everblades. While with the Everblades, O'Had was behind the bench in over 500 ECHL games and 67 playoff games. O'Had was part of the Everblades Brabham Cup Championship in the 2017-18 championship, an Eastern Conference Championship in 2018, 2 South Division titles, 6 playoff appearances, and a .699 winning percentage. Ohad was also the head coach and general manager of the Florida Junior Everblades, leading the Junior Blades to a dominant 112-19-8 record and a USPHL National Championship in 2017 during his tenure. He has achieved decades of awards and achievements in only a few years, and his hard work and dedication have led him to direct teams and hockey schools in Ontario, Alberta, Minnesota, Michigan, New York, and Connecticut. In the past 10 years, 35 players he has trained have been selected in the NHL entry draft. In 2017, Tad was named Gulf Shore Business Magazine Top 40 Under 40, a prestigious distinction reserved for the most influential business leaders under the age of 40 in Southwest Florida. We are very excited to have this season, so without further ado, head coach and director of hockey operations, Tad O'Had. Thank you.
First of all, thank you, Anna. That was an excellent overview of everything that's going on with the team. Thank you for the introduction. It's humbling to be here to speak this afternoon with everybody with the Chambers. Kansas City, this has been, as Anna alluded to, this has been a different year for all of us. I took the job in April, as she stated, in the middle of a pandemic in which the season I was coaching had been canceled. We were in first place at that time, and I knew that the season was going to be over. With that in mind, I also knew that there were greater times ahead, and one of which potentially included me coaching in Kansas City. I'm honored to be the head coach of the Kansas City Mavericks. The state that we're in right now is wild and crazy, and it's been ever-changing in the hockey environment. Since the day that I've taken this job, we have been non-stop recruiting all over North America and Europe, and did an excellent job explaining our focus with not only the fans, but the staff and the players with regards to safety. My message to our players as they continue to come to town this week and next week is that this is a time of flexibility. We have to be able to bend and not break. We have to be able to continue to be solution-oriented and find ways to get through these times. And most of all, we have to continue to band together to provide the best team and the best environment possible for our players. It's been interesting. As Anna talked about, the ECHL, we're very fortunate to have the ownership we do with the Kansas City Mavericks with Lamar Hunt and then Brent Thiessen, our president, to allow us to play this season. 13 teams will start December 11th. That will leave over 300 players without jobs in the ECHL, and we have 214 players that are very fortunate and very blessed to be able to play professional hockey. And that's the message. When I took this job, one of the things that I focused on was recruiting our kind of guy, OKG. I've coached hockey my entire life, and I'll tell you what, if you don't have the right guys, as any business, or the right females as any business, you aren't going to find success. And so we want to find OKG, our kind of guy. And so we have recruited everywhere. Our team is split of Canadian and Americans. We have one of the exciting things, and this has been very interesting, because we're one of the 13 teams starting play next week. Phone has been ringing off the hook from NHL clubs, American Hockey League clubs, and many teams in Europe. We're extremely fortunate to be having professional hockey and being able to outfit a team when so many others aren't able to. And that message has been very clear to our players, that it's not a scare tactic, it's not a threat, but it is an honor and a privilege to play and earn the living that we do. And if it is not respected and carried out in a professional manner, they will be gone immediately. Specifically with regards to COVID regulations and rules, our players are asked to not only obey and conduct themselves as professionals, but maintain the safety of one another as well as their families and our fans. What's interesting is, for example, we've had several National Hockey League teams. I've had 3 today contact me with regards to trying to send players here for their development, because we're fortunate one of the teams starting to play hockey. As well as we've had a very successful year. I've got a phenomenal staff. We've had a very successful recruiting off-season, and we've recruited some of the top talent that the Mavericks have seen in their 12-year history. We've got right now a total of over 800 American Hockey League games played with the players coming to us. And we have several players that at one point in their careers were on NHL contracts. One of the unique things is every player on our roster at one point, whether it be college or professional, has worn a letter. They've been a captain or assistant captain of their team, which speaks a lot about the character of the individuals. One of the disappointing things this year with what we're dealing with is that our players will be hamstrung when it comes to working in the community. Normally, I am a huge advocate about our players getting out to the community, working with the community, getting them to understand who they are. This year will be a little bit different with regards to the rules and regulations, but the message for our players is that we want you to be involved, and we're going to find ways thinking outside the box to get involved. And we've continued to have many positive conversations with the Boys and Girls Club and other community sponsors. And so that's an exciting thing. We're going to think outside the box and find ways to continue to give back to the community. I was really impressed when I saw so many names, so many hands raised that had been to Mavericks games. Just to touch base on a few things. As players come into town, Anna had mentioned they'll be tested prior to leaving their home base. They'll be tested when they get here. And then we'll start up training camp. We start up training camp next Friday evening. And then we'll roll into basically a 2-week span of training camp in which we will have 3 black and orange games. We're bringing in about 28 players. Our roster can max at 24. And those 3 games we'll be able to use to identify who will make that final lineup. And then our first game is in Indianapolis, December 11th. One of the things that we'll do with the first part of the season schedule is everything will be bus travel. We are really working, I don't necessarily like the term bubble, but we are trying to keep our players and fans in a safe environment. Our players, the message is clear to our players, is that you are fortunate to be making a living as a professional hockey player. You are expected to come to work every day and work, and then go home, and we need to make professional choices. And that's exactly what our players are expected to do, make positive choices. I don't consider these to be sacrifices. They're very, very fortunate and lucky. They need to make positive choices on staying healthy, keeping their families healthy, and one another. We'll start our season then December 11th in Indianapolis, and then we come back the following week with our home opener, December 18th. What's unique is that Our first part of the season will be 9 games, and then the other teams in the league are deciding whether they're opting in or opting out. In this environment and day, I doubt that all the other teams will opt in, but I think there'll be a handful that will, and then our schedule will be expanded upon that. Which, from a fan standpoint, and really I have a focus of 4 things. 1, we need to win. We need to have success. We need to win, not only for our ownership and our team, but for our community. One of the reasons why I took this job is not only do I feel the infrastructure and the foundation is excellent with the Kansas City Mavericks, I've been impressed for many years with the ownership and Brent Thiessen, but I've been absolutely enamored by the fan base. Many years ago, I was here on a Sunday for a game, and I remember the crowd was excellent. I remember saying to myself, this is a place I want to coach. So 1, we need to win. 2, the second of all, we need to develop talent. My job every day is to help my players get better. 3, advance talent. That's something I've taken a lot of pride in my career, is advancing players to the next level. Whether it be the American Hockey League, NHL, or Europe, I take a lot of great pride in helping advance their careers. And 4, providing our fans an exciting atmosphere with talented and great hockey players that are invested in the community. Those are 4 pillars that I strongly believe in, and every year and everywhere I've coached have been the foundation. The unique and exciting part this year, the talent pool in this league, because right now there's just 13 teams to start, and the amount of teams and leagues in Europe and North America that aren't playing, this will be the best talent that many fans will see in the ECHL since the last NHL lockout many years ago. And so it's going to be an exciting product on the ice. And I can't thank you guys enough for having me here today. And everybody stay safe, and look forward to seeing you at a Mavs game. Thank you.